Discover the incredible 6-minute story that will transform your life and heal your heart today. Jake Miller stood behind the counter of Miller's Diner, flipping pancakes and pouring coffee with a grin that could brighten even the dreariest of Midwestern days. At 25, he was more than just a cook, he was the pulse of this little town, a beacon of hope, love, and resilience simmering among the clatter of dishes and the chatter of regulars. Each morning, he found solace in the familiar faces that filled the booths, trading stories as they sipped their coffee, each encounter a reminder of the bond they shared, but beneath the cheerful exterior, Jake carried the weight of his past, a single mother who worked herself to the bone to give him a chance at something better, a childhood marked by prejudice, a label of nobody that clung to him like an unwanted shadow. He wanted to rise above it all, chase the American dream, and this diner felt like his launching pad. One rainy day, as light streamed in through the diner's windows, an ambitious entrepreneur from the city sauntered in. The moment he stepped through the door, Jake felt a chill. This man was not just another customer. With slick back hair and a sharp suit, he scanned the regulars with a disdainful expression. "This place needs a serious makeover," he scoffed, mostly to himself. The air thickened, tension curling around Jake like fog. The man's dismissive attitude toward the patrons who were the heart and soul of the diner ignited something deep within him that he marched over, wiping his hands on a dish towel. "Excuse me, but these people are what make this diner special," Jake exclaimed, voice firm yet compassionate. "It may not look fancy, but it's where we share lives and dreams." The room fell silent, eyes shifting between the entrepreneur and Jake, the unspoken bond of camaraderie crackling in the air. The contrast between them was stark. The entrepreneur believed in reinventing the diner into a trendy hotspot, Jake believed in preserving its essence, a portrayal of love, laughter, and resilience. Their debate sparked a fire within the community, causing murmurs and nods among the regulars. Jake realized that standing up for what he loved didn't just serve him, it unified everyone around him, fanning the flames of hope in the diner. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned into a countdown to the charity event intended to lift struggling families, an endeavor infused with Jake's heart. The community perked up, looking to him for inspiration, for a voice that could articulate their shared experiences. On a makeshift stage, as he stepped into the spotlight, nerves turned his insides to knots. He found his breath and began to share his story, a testament of hard work, respect, and the unwavering love of a single mother who made him believe in himself. But before his heartfelt words could take flight, the entrepreneur cut through, snidely waving off Jake's sincere message. The diner fell into an uneasy hush. Expressions shifted, uncertainty rippling through the crowd like a sudden gust of wind. What was once laughter now turned to murmurs, and the fragile bond began to fracture. Jake's heart raced. Would the town rise to embrace unity or fall apart? Just as so many times before, as doubt curled around him, he opened his mouth, ready to defend not just his dreams but those shared dreams of every soul in the room. With a steady heart, he prepared to speak the words that could spark a monumental transformation, igniting a tapestry of unity wrapped tight in the warmth of his diner, reminding everyone that together, they could not just survive, they could thrive. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the diner envelop him like a comforting hug. He needed to make his voice heard even louder than the entrepreneur's cynical laughter. The regulars, the faces he recognized, the ones who had shared laughs and tears over a cup of coffee, were looking to him for strength. "Listen, everyone," Jake said, his voice trembling but growing stronger with every word. "This diner isn't just a building. It's a home. It's where our stories blend with syrup and butter, where dreams are born over breakfast. It's the laughter of children, the whispered hopes of young couples, and the solace for those who've had a rough night. This is our heartbeat." A few heads nodded. He could see glimmers of understanding spark within the crowd. Encouraged, Jake continued, "We've built more than a diner, we've built a community. An entrepreneur can come in and call for change, but they can't steal the memories and connections forged here. What we have is irreplaceable." Jake's heart raced as he scanned the crowd. The tension hung thick, but a few familiar faces started to light up with hope. Mrs. Henderson, the town librarian, wiped a tear away, while Charlie, the retired firefighter, nodded vigorously, his usual grin now painted back on his face. "You're right," Charlie shouted, breaking the spell of silence. "I came to this diner every day after my shifts. It saved me more times than I can count. I don't want it to change." The energy in the room shifted. With every spoken word, the diners stirred. A chorus of supportive voices rose, building momentum. "Don't change it. We love it just the way it is," echoed around the diner, and suddenly, the warmth of community rose like steam from hot coffee, thick and palpable. The entrepreneur shifted uncomfortably, his earlier confidence fading with every enthusiastic cheer from the patrons. Jake seized the moment. "We can turn this diner into something that honors our history while supporting our future. Let's raise funds, invest in local art, add community murals. We can celebrate the essence of who we are right here." Cheers erupted, clattering dishes jostling on tables with the excitement. Jake could feel the pulse of the diner quicken, a tangible energy swept through the room. Hopeful smiles flashed around him, and for the first time that day, he let himself believe that they truly could come together, but the entrepreneur wasn't ready to concede. His voice cut through the excitement, sharp and cutting. "You think a few paint strokes can save this place? You're living in a fantasy just like your quaint little dreams." A shadow flickered across Jake's heart at the man's words. He felt anger boiling inside him, the kind that could crush dreams if he let it. "You're right," Jake replied, surprising even himself with the calmness in his tone. "This diner isn't just paint or decor. It's about people. And if the people say they want this, then it's worth fighting for." He took a step forward, heart pounding, rallying the crowd behind him. "Will you stand with me?" As hands raised and shouts of agreement filled the diner, Jake knew this moment could be a turning point. They were ready to stand together, united in their love for a place that felt like home. Yet as he took in the sea of hopeful faces, the entrepreneur's eyes narrowed, contemplating his next move. The ground beneath them felt shaky. Could they really hold their ground? Jake's determination roared within him. Together, they weren't just protecting the diner, they were igniting a revolution, but would they be able to deflect the entrepreneur's bigger plans, or would they be left fighting against a tide that threatened their very existence? As the crowd cheered, the weight of the coming battle settled in the air, making it clear that this fight was just beginning. The air buzzed with energy, a palpable mix of determination and hope swirling around the diner. Jake could feel the weight of the moment as the voices echoed off the walls, the clatter of silverware now a symphony of defiance. He turned to the entrepreneur, who stood unyielding, a wall of arrogance against a rising tide of community spirit. "Let's prove him wrong," Jake shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. "We have the power to make our dreams a reality right here, together. We can host fundraisers, bake sales, whatever it takes." As the crowd roared with approval, the entrepreneur cleared his throat, his confidence fraying at the edges. "You think this is about community spirit? This is business. And business doesn't care about your nostalgia or sentimental value." Jake stepped closer, unafraid. "You might see numbers on a balance sheet, but we see lives intertwined. This diner is a vessel for stories, not just a source of profits." With each word, Jake felt like a spark igniting a crowd of dry kindling. Mrs. Henderson stood up, her hands shaking a little as she wiped her eyes. "I remember the day my husband proposed to me right here. We had our first date, our kids learned their letters over pancakes. We can't let go of that." Charlie joined her, voice booming again. "And what about the birthday parties? Those sweet 16 celebrations? This place has seen laughter and tears, and it deserves to stay." The entrepreneur stepped forward, eyes narrowing. People will move on. They always do. Your sweet memories won't pay the bills. A murmur of dissent rose from the crowd, their voices a wall of unity. It's more than just bills. Someone shouted out. It's family. Another echoed. The energy shifted again, stronger now, like a wave gathering force. Jake looked at the faces around him. He could see their resolve shining through, hearts beating in sync to a rhythm of hope and nostalgia. Then let us act. Let us come together as a family and show him we won't back down. We'll organize and fight for what matters. Who's with me? Me. Charlie roared, raising his fist high that a sea of hands shot into the air. We are. Rang out, filling the diner with a raucous echo, like the roar of a crowd at a championship game. The whole diner transformed, morphing into a fortress of dreams held together by love and shared memories. The entrepreneur's face twisted in disbelief, but there was something more, a flicker of doubt, a concern that perhaps he underestimated the power of real connection. Jake sensed the shift, but he had to keep pushing. Let us create events that not just celebrate us but showcase our talent. Live music, art shows, poetry readings. This diner can be a platform. Cheers erupted once more, each shout a renewal of their commitment. We'll make this place thrive. Jake declared, their enthusiasm washed over him like a warm blanket as he felt his own fears slip away, replaced by a fierce determination to protect what was never meant to belong to anyone but them. But as the din of excitement swelled, Jake caught sight of the entrepreneur, pulling out his phone, a sly smile creeping across his face. Unbeknownst to the patrons, his plans were far from over. An idea sparked in Jake's mind. If the restaurateur had a backup plan, they had to be ready. The moment hung there, charged with possibility. Would they know his next move before it was too late? Could they truly stand firm against the tide of change that threatened to wash away their memories? Every heartbeat echoed the urgency of their fight, and at that moment, they understood they were not just preserving a diner, they were protecting their community, their history, and each other. But as Jake continued to rally the crowd, a new sense of foreboding coiled in the air, whispering that the real battle lay ahead. What would happen when the entrepreneur unleashed his true intentions? As the cheers began to fade, Jake felt a damp chill slither down his spine. He scanned the faces in the diner, each so familiar, but now lit with determination. The warmth of their support was palpable, yet a sense of urgency gripped him. He needed to think fast. Listen up. Jake called, raising his hands. Their voices quieted, eyes locked on him. We need to organize. I propose a town meeting tomorrow night. We'll all come together and brainstorm ideas. The more voices we have, the stronger we become. And if we need funds, we can figure out how to get them. Yes. Someone shouted from the back, a nod of encouragement that rippled through the crowd. Jake felt it then, the electricity of possibilities sparking in the air. He turned to the entrepreneur, who stood still, his phone now in his pocket. He had been watching intently, his smirk faded into a frown. The fight wasn't over, and Jake knew they needed to prepare for any counterattack he might launch. The next morning, Jake awoke to a gray sky. The air felt thick with tension, a reflection of the uncertainty weighing on him. After a quick breakfast, he grabbed a handful of flyers he'd printed out, a call to action for the meeting. He stepped outside to greet the morning with purpose, but the clouds hung low, mirroring his thoughts. As he walked towards the diner, he noticed Mrs. Henderson, kneeling in her garden, pulling out weeds. Jake stopped. Good morning, Mrs. H. You all set for the meeting tonight? She looked up, her face a mix of hope and worry. I am, dear. But do you think we'll manage to gather enough support? What if people don't show? Jake felt a rush of determination. They will. I know it. This matters to us all. It's not just a diner, it's our home. They shared a moment, and he could see a flicker of belief in her eyes. It fueled him. Just then, Charlie zoomed around the corner on his bike, nearly skidding to a stop. Hey, Jake. I have a band," he announced, nearly bouncing with excitement. "We can perform at the fundraiser." Jake's heart soared. "That's a perfect idea, Charlie. Music is what connects us." An hour passed, and Jake found himself back at the diner. The buzz of conversation flowed through the room as patrons trickled in, filling seats and corners, eager for the meeting. The atmosphere felt thick with anticipation. The sense of unity was tangible. But soon after the meeting began, a dark cloud loomed. The entrepreneur walked back through the door, now flanked by two stern-looking men in suits. Jake's stomach twisted in knots. A hush overtook the crowd, unease sweeping through. The entrepreneur smirked, a plan brewing in his mind. "I hope I'm not interrupting," he sneered, surveying the assembled crowd. "But I believe you all have something you should know about your little fundraiser." He raised his hand, and the two men stepped forward, unfurling a legal document. "I have the authority to halt any events you plan on hosting. This diner has become a legal liability, and if you continue to hold meetings without a permit, I'm afraid I'll have to take action." Gasps erupted across the room. Fear mixed with anger rippled through the crowd as Jake felt his heart race. They were standing on a precipice, everything on the line, and time was slipping away like grains of sand. "Hang on!" Jake shouted, voice shaking but strong. "We're not going to be intimidated. This is our diner, and you can't take that away from us." The tension soured, a standoff brewing as eyes darted between Jake and the entrepreneur. It felt like destiny was hanging by a thread. What would he say next? What would they do if he pushed back? Would they find a way to fight back against the legal threats that loomed over them? A heavy silence fell over the diner, thick enough to cut with a knife. Jake felt the weight of everyone's eyes on him, their trust resting heavily on his shoulders. He could smell the coffee brewing in the back, yet it felt like the aroma of desperation hung in the air. How could he rally them now? "Listen," he breathed, forcing himself to keep his voice steady. "We can't let them scare us. This place," he paused, trying to find the right words, "this is our home. Our memories are tied up in these booths, this counter. We can't just back down." The crowd began to murmur, anger replacing fear as they exchanged glances and nods. The two men in suits remained stone-faced, but Jake could see the doubt flickering in their eyes. He had to keep pushing. "Sure, they have paperwork. But we have each other," he continued, feeling the connection spark in the room. "We've built this diner into something special, something bigger than one man's greed." Mrs. Henderson was the first to clap, the sound sharp and clear as it broke through the weighty silence. The rest of the crowd soon followed, clapping and cheering, hearts bolstered by Jake's fervor. The entrepreneur's smug expression faltered. "Enough of this nonsense," he said, attempting to regain control. "You really think sentimentality will protect you? This is a legal matter. I suggest you all legal matters can be challenged." Charlie interjected, gripping his bike helmet like a shield. He looked up at the adults with wide, defiant eyes. "We can fight this. Together." Jake couldn't help but grin at the boy's spirited words. Something shifted in the air, a shared determination that seemed to light the room. "Charlie's right," Jake shouted, striking while the iron was hot. "We can gather signatures, raise funds, hire a lawyer if we need to. But we can't do any of that if we let them tear us apart." The crowd erupted in applause once again, spirits lifting in defiance of the threat hanging over them. The entrepreneur glared, his stoic demeanor cracking under the weight of their unity. "Mark my words, this isn't over," he said, still glaring, and nodded at his suited partners. They turned to leave, but not before Jake could feel the spark of victory flicker hot in the air. "Then we'll be ready for you," Jake called, and the crowd erupted in affirmation, their voices echoing off the diner walls. As the entrepreneur and his companions walked out, a wave of relief washed over Jake. But he knew they hadn't won the battle, the war was just beginning. He felt the resolve settle in his chest but also a gnawing anxiety that something worse could be lurking in the shadows. "All right, everyone," he said, collecting himself as the echo of their earlier cheers faded. "We need to strategize. If we're going to mobilize effectively, we need every idea, every voice. Let's make this meeting matter." They jumped into discussions, and Jake moved about, jotting down ideas, feeling the energy in the room ignite with each contribution. Unity was growing stronger, and for every suggestion, hope blossomed anew, yet, as the sun began to dip below the horizon, a flicker of doubt crept back in. Could they actually win against the looming threat? What about the pressure from the town council? Would they stand in solidarity, or would fear scatter them like leaves in the wind come the next meeting? As he pulled himself from the whirlwind of thoughts, the door swung open again with a loud bang. It was Mrs. Thompson, storming in, her eyes wild. "They're out for blood, Jake," she shouted, breathless and panicked. "You won't believe what they've got planned next." Jake's heart raced at her words. What could possibly be next in their already tense battle? He struggled to swallow the rising lump in his throat, knowing a new storm was brewing just out of sight. The meeting might have ignited a fire, but it also raised more questions than answers. Would they be able to withstand the storm now bearing down on them? Mrs. Thompson's voice cut through the chatter like a siren's wail. The room fell silent as all eyes turned toward her, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Jake felt a chill crawl down his spine, a sense of foreboding that twisted uneasily in his stomach. "What do you mean?" he managed, trying to keep his voice calm, though a tremor betrayed him. "They're planning to file an eviction notice. And they've got the council in their pocket," she exclaimed, her hands shaking slightly. "They have connections funding. This is bigger than we thought, Jake. They won't just stand by and let us fight. They want the land for a new development." Gasps filled the diner, a tide of panic washed over the faces around him. Jake's mind raced. What was left to protect their beloved diner if the council turned against them? It was more than just a restaurant, it was a sanctuary, a meeting place. Lives were intertwined here, love stories, friendships, memories. "Are you sure about this, Mrs. Thompson?" he asked, desperate for clarity, searching her intense gaze for signs of optimism. She nodded fervently, tears pooling at the corners of her eyes. "I heard it from Mr. Gonzalez himself at the council meeting. They want to bulldoze this place. Tomorrow. They think we won't fight back." A sharp intake of breath echoed from the back. Mary Lou, the diner's longtime waitress, who had served burgers and coffee with unwavering love for over 2 decades. "We can't let that happen. Not our diner." Her voice rang with both fear and anger, launching everyone into a frenzy of worry. "Wait." Jake raised his hands, trying to gain control again. "If we mobilize now, we can organize a protest or a meeting with the council. If we show them how much this place matters to us." His words trailed off, uncertainty creeping in again. Would they even listen? But what if they don't care? A voice piped up from the side. It was Greg, his face pale. The doubt in his tone fed the anxiety stirring in the room. What if they just go ahead anyway? Then we need to be louder. We have to show them that we won't go quietly. Charlie's voice burst forth again, eyes wide with determination. Jake felt the fire reigniting within him. "Exactly, Charlie. We'll gather everyone from the neighborhood. We'll hold signs, make speeches, and stand outside that council meeting until they listen." That line hung in the air as the collective energy shifted. Jake could see light spark in the faces around him, moments of hope mixed with a new battle cry. "Let us do it!" Mary Lou shouted, the defiance in her voice a rallying point. "We need to stand together." As they grouped together, drawing up plans and creating banners, an unexpected warmth filled the diner. Laughter broke out as they shared stories and rallied one another. For every fear, there was a fierce resolve crackling like electricity. Jake felt something shift inside him, a call to action twining tightly with his resolve. He hadn't felt this kind of community spirit in a long time. It reminded him of how they had all come together after the fire last year. But just as he felt hopeful, a gnawing fear returned. What if they did meet resistance? What if the council wouldn't sway? Okay, he said, swallowing hard. Let us meet again tomorrow, the same time. We'll coordinate a protest and get more people involved. But we have to stick together, no matter what. As everyone began to disperse, Jake caught a glimpse of Mrs. Thompson, standing at the door, her face pale and drawn but filled with an unwavering spirit. "Jake," she said quietly, "promise me we won't go down without a fight." "I promise," he replied, the weight of her words settling over him like a thick fog. Stepping outside, Jake looked up at the darkening sky. A storm was brewing, and he could feel it in his bones. He was about to step into a fight, one that could change everything. As he turned to leave, a figure emerged from the shadows by the diner's entrance, someone he hadn't expected to see. "Jake," the figure called softly, stepping into the light. It was Betty, the owner of the cafe down the street. A frown creased her brow. "I think we need to talk. There's something you need to know." Jake's heart raced again. What could she possibly have to share that would alter the course of their fight? Would it be news of more allies, or perhaps another obstacle to overcome? The uncertainty loomed as their eyes locked, the weight of the moment swelling between them. Jake took a step closer, the frown on Betty's face sending chills down his spine. It felt like the calm before a storm. Her eyes shimmered with urgency, and Jake couldn't help but feel that whatever she had to say could change everything. "Betty, what is going on?" Jake pressed, feeling the thump of his heart in his throat. She looked around, scanning the street as if the very buildings might be eavesdropping. "It's not just the eviction notice. There's more happening behind the scenes. I overheard some conversations at the cafe." Jake felt a shiver crawl down his back. "What do you mean? You're not making sense." Betty took a deep breath, her voice trembling slightly. "They want to not only buy the diner but the entire block. They're looking to push us all out, small businesses like ours, the ones that make this neighborhood special. It's a big real estate developer, someone with a lot of money and influence." Jake's blood ran cold. His hands balled into fists. He thought they were fighting for survival against one eviction, but this was war. "That's why a protest isn't enough," she continued. "We need more than just signs and speeches. We need a real plan. We need to expose them." "Expose them? How?" Frustration laced his words. "They're holding meetings, covertly discussing the project, and they have investors ready to back them. But if we gather evidence, documents, recordings, we might turn the tide. If we can show the council that these plans are not in the interest of the community, we can make them listen." As she spoke, Jake felt a sense of urgency building in him. This wasn't just about saving the diner anymore, it was about protecting his entire community. But it also meant risking everything. "Do you really think we can do this?" he asked, the weight of the idea pressing heavily on his chest. "I do," Betty replied, determination overtaking the fear in her eyes. "But it means we have to act fast. We can't let them see us coming. If they catch wind of what we're doing, they'll bury everything before we have a chance." Jake nodded slowly, a plan starting to form in his mind. "All right. We'll need to gather everyone, Mrs. Thompson, Mary Lou, everyone. We won't just fight back, we will outsmart them." "Exactly," Betty exclaimed, relief flooding her voice. "Use the diner as our base. It's where everyone feels safe, where we can organize and strategize." As they quickly mapped out their course of action, Jake's mind flashed back to all the memories tied to this place, the laughter, the tears, the sense of belonging. It was far more than bricks and mortar. This was home. Once back inside the diner, the atmosphere changed. The earlier buzz of excitement shifted into something closer to determination. Jake's heart pounded as he stood before everyone, a mixture of vulnerability and strength filling the air. "Listen up," he yelled, rallying the troops. "There's more at stake than we thought. We aren't just fighting for our diner, we're fighting for our neighborhood." The energy shifted, faces lit with a new fire. Plans were drawn, strategies debated, voices rising in agreement. But in the back of Jake's mind, doubt lingered. Could they truly pull this off against such powerful opponents? As minutes ticked by, the reality of what they were up against sank in. One of the regulars raised her hand, uncertainty shadowing her expression. "But what if we fail? What if we lose everything?" Jake took a deep breath, meeting her gaze. "Then we'll know we fought with everything we had. But I won't let fear stop us. Not now." Just as the meeting hit a stride, without warning, the door swung open, and a wind howled through the diner. The chill that rushed in felt different, a foreboding presence that made his stomach drop. Jake turned to see a man in a dark suit standing at the entrance, a smug smile plastered on his face. "Looks like you're out of your depth, folks," he started, his voice dripping with disdain. "I just came to tell you it won't matter how hard you fight. We're not going anywhere." Jake's heart raced, a sense of grueling dread settling over him. Who was he? What more was behind the familiar fire blazing in his chest? As the murmurs filled the diner, doubt seeped in. Would their fight just be a futile effort against such brazen confidence? The man stepped further inside, and the world around Jake faded, zeroing in on the intruder. Jake's voice faltered, the question lingering in the air. What was this man's connection to their battle, and was there still a way to win? Jake's eyes locked onto the man in the dark suit. The confidence exuding from him was palpable, and it felt like a lead weight pressing down on Jake's chest. The noise in the diner faded, the shared apprehension of his friends and neighbors palpable, thick in the air. "Who are you?" Jake managed to say, his voice steadier than he felt. The man chuckled, a low, mocking sound. "I'm the architect of your little nightmare," he replied, his tone dripping with arrogance. "Name's Carter. And I'm here to let you know that your quaint little community isn't worth what we have planned." The noise of coffee cups clinking and murmurs of confusion faded completely, leaving an eerie silence. Every eye was on Jake, waiting for him to respond, to take a stand. "This is our home," Jake said, the fire reigniting within him. "You can't just come in here and threaten us. We're not going to roll over and let you take everything away." Carter's smile widened, as if he found joy in Jake's defiance. "Oh, I know you'll fight. It's adorable, really. But the truth is, all your fighting will be in vain. The council is already in our pocket, and nothing you try will change that." At that moment, a flicker of panic crossed Betty's face, but she quickly masked it with resolve. "We'll find a way. You don't know us. We're stronger together." Jake nodded, finding a new kinship in her words. Determination surged within him again. "We will not back down. This diner means everything to us, and we will protect it," he declared, his voice rising above the chaos around them. Carter's expression shifted slightly, a glimmer of uncertainty slipping into his confident demeanor. He wasn't expecting this kind of response, a crowd unified by hope and defiance. "Cute speech, but you'll find out soon enough that hope isn't enough against money and power," he sneered, starting to retreat. "You'll regret this, trust me." As the door swung shut behind him, the din of disbelief followed. A collective sigh filled the diner, the weight of the situation crashing down like a tidal wave. "Jake, what do we do now?" one of the older patrons asked, worry etching lines into her face. "We fight," Jake answered, sensing a stronger resolve among them now. "We gather our evidence like Betty said. We look for allies within the community, anyone who shares our vision. We start now." The energy shifted again, transforming from confusion into purpose. Volunteers raised their hands, eager to contribute, the young artist, the retired teacher, the couple who had their first date at the diner years ago. Each face showed a mix of anxiety and determination as they rallied around Jake and Betty. "We need to split up," Betty suggested, a plan forming. "Some of us need to hit the streets and start collecting stories from those affected. Others can stake out the meetings Carter mentioned. If we catch them slipping, we can bring it to the council's attention." The group nodded in unison, spirits lifting as the possibility of real action surfaced. "Let us make sure everyone knows what's at stake," Jake added. "Let us remind them why we love this place." As they dispersed with determination, a sense of urgency fueled Jake's every step. It was time to build a fortress around their community, to fight with every ounce of strength they had, but as he walked past the diner's front window, something caught his eye. Carter lurking on the corner, glancing back at the diner with an unsettling smile. The blood rushed from Jake's face. It felt like watching a storm gather, the clouds darkening all around. He turned to Betty, the unease reflecting in her eyes. "What if he knows something? What if he is planning something against us?" "Then we're ready for it," Betty replied, fire back in her tone. "We won't let fear overtake us." The tension in the diner thickened again, but hope flickered like a candle in the dark. They were fighting for something bigger than just a diner now. They were fighting for their lives, their memories, their future, but as shadows continued to dance uneasily outside the diner, Jake's heart sank. Was there resolve enough to face the growing power of someone like Carter? The battle lines were drawn, but there were still plenty of unknowns ahead. What was his next move? And would they unearth the evidence they needed before it was too late? Jake stepped back from the window, his heart racing. The sight of Carter loitering outside still lingered in his mind, like a chill creeping into his bones. Could it be that they were already being watched, their every move anticipated by an adversary who thrived on intimidation? Uncertainty gnawed at him, but he meant every word he had said to the group. They had to fight, even if the odds were against them. "Let us get to work," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "We can't waste any time." The crowd began to split, each person grabbing a partner or two, energized by a common purpose. Betty remained close, her spirit unwavering. "I'll talk to the people on Main Street, they'll share their stories. You should head to the council meeting tonight. If they're meeting with Carter, we need to know what's being discussed." Jake nodded, knowing she was right. The council could be their best opportunity and potentially their worst. If Carter's grip on them was strong, then they were treading on thin ice. Still, the thought of waiting idly made his skin crawl. "Be careful," he urged her, searching for clarity. "Always," she replied, a slight smile breaking through the worry in her eyes. "Just keep your phone on. We can pivot if we hear anything crucial." They shared a moment, the depth of their shared resolve creating a solid bond, a reassuring strength in the face of the chaos looming ahead. With a final nod, Jake stepped through the diner door, the threshold feeling like a new battleground. As he moved through the small town, he noticed the fading sunlight casting long shadows across the pavement. The air was thick with tension but also hope. This was their home, and he was determined to fight for it. He had to believe others would join them. When he arrived at the council hall, he tried to shake off the nervous energy radiating from his fingertips. The buzz of voices inside hinted at the gathering. He slipped inside quietly, blending into the crowd, eyes wide with anticipation. Groups of people stood huddled together, glancing toward the stage as officials prepared to speak. Jake's ears perked up. He could hear snippets of a conversation between council members and a figure at the front whom he suspected was Carter. The arrogance oozing from the man was unmistakable. "It's all about the money, gentlemen," Carter's voice rang out, smooth and persuasive. "A development like this will bring jobs, recreation. The people will see it as progress." "Progress for whom?" An older man boomed from the back, his voice cutting the air like a knife. "Is it worth destroying the heart of our community?" Gazing at the tension reported in the council room, Jake's heart raced. Could they stand up against Carter? Could they mobilize from this point? He raised his phone, texting Betty as silently as possible, "Carter's here. They're planning something big. We need proof. The rhythmic vibrations of his phone felt heavy in his palm, an urgency building as he awaited her reply. Not long after, his phone buzzed back. On it. Gathering stories. Stay alert. A wave of encouragement washed over him, but shadows tugged at his certainty. The meeting continued, and the rhetoric danced dangerously close to betrayal. Each word exchanged was crucial. Would someone finally show the cracks in Carter's facade? Just as he leaned in to catch every detail, a sudden rattle echoed through the hall, and the doors flew open. Eyes turned, startled whispers ignited. A woman he recognized burst into the room, breathing heavily, eyes darting back to Jake. They were filled with an urgency that froze his blood. "They're coming!" she exclaimed, voice rising above the murmurs. "Carter is planning an immediate vote on the project. We have to stop them." Panic rippled through the room as Jake felt the weight of the moment settle over him. This wasn't just about the diner anymore. This was about saving the very essence of their home from someone like Carter. What could they do to mobilize the crowd? How could they raise their voices above the fear, with a racing heart and determination surging? Jake stepped forward, ready to take action. But he couldn't shake the feeling that things were about to get more complicated, and fast. Would they have the courage to make their stand? Jake stood tall, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him like a heavy cloak. His heart raced as he surveyed the room filled with wary faces. "Everyone! We need to unite!" he shouted above the buzz of uncertainty. "We can't let them vote without our say." Gathering his courage, he continued, "If we work together, we can show them the true value of our community. This isn't just about the diner, it's about every shared laugh, every dream built among these walls. It's about the heart and soul of our town." A murmur swept through the crowd, a ripple of recognition and determination. He could see the flicker of hope ignite in their eyes, a fire reflected back at him. Moments later, Betty burst through the door, breathless and resolute. "Jake! I have a plan. We need to gather everyone outside and make our voices heard before the vote finishes." Jake nodded, knowing this was their chance. "Let us go." Together, they sprinted towards the door, bolstered by the energy of the crowd as they followed suit. As they burst outside, the air buzzed with urgency. They arranged everyone in a tight circle, voices rising like a chorus, a united front against threats looming in the shadows. A banner proclaiming "Save our diner" fluttered above them. "We need to tell our stories," Betty urged, stepping into the spotlight beside Jake. "Let us drown out any misconceptions with our truth." An older gentleman stepped forward, his hands shaking but his voice steady. "I've been coming here for over 30 years. This diner was there for my children's first bites of pancakes and my wife's surprise birthday parties. It's our memories that give this place life." His words sent a wave of applause washing through the crowd, fueling their resolve. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the power of community surge within him. "Let us show them. Show the council that we are not just numbers in a budget, our lives matter. This diner is our heartbeat. Let us march." The crowd erupted in cheers, hands raised, voices echoing across the square. They began moving toward the council building, their steps rhythmic and purposeful. With every stride, they banished doubt, they reclaimed their hope. As they arrived, Jake felt the energy escalate. The council members stood reassuringly, but Jake sensed apprehension in their eyes at the sheer size of the gathering. "Listen up," he shouted, standing before the crowd. "We're here to make our voices heard." He pointed to Betty, who held up a makeshift sign reading, "This diner is our home. This isn't just about food or cups of coffee. It's about community. It's about generations built here. We will not stand idly by while corporate greed threatens our heart and soul." Just as he began to speak again, Carter appeared at the entrance, flanked by a couple of council members. The coffee shop architect smirked, clearly unfazed. "This ends now. You all are wasting your time. The council knows progress is essential. Jake stepped forward, adrenaline surging through him. And yet progress should never come at the cost of community. You think bulldozing this diner is progress? Look around. He waved a hand, gesturing at the townspeople standing shoulder to shoulder. This is progress, unity, resilience, love. Whispers of solidarity spread through the crowd ominously. How many lives have passed through this diner? How many stories woven together? Jake pressed. He searched their faces, drawing strength from the shared history behind them. If you can't see that today, you need to reevaluate what progress truly means. Carter's smile faltered slightly as murmurs rippled through the crowd. Enough. He barked. Let us not dramatize this. These are business choices, not emotional ones. The future doesn't rely on quaint nostalgia. That's where you're wrong. Shouted a voice from the back, igniting more fervor. You don't understand. We're not just an image on your balance sheet. You are trying to erase memories and connections. That's not what we value. As the conviction took root, the council members exchanged uncertain glances. Jake felt the tide turn. This was their chance. Let us show them. We deserve to be heard. He could see the fear melting from their eyes, replaced by determination. Gather the signatures. Someone shouted. Let us present them with our stories. Jake stepped back, feeling the energy swell like thunder in a summer storm. Let us show them we're in this together. Our fight is not just for this diner but for every piece of our home. With renewed fervor, they began to rally. Petitions circulated, stories exchanged, and each name signed was as powerful as a battle cry. Jake stood back, overwhelmed by the power of unity they forged that day. Finally, as the sun began to set, the council members summoned Jake, Betty, and the leading voices to discuss the incomprehensible shift in community sentiment. With the boards on their backs remaining heavy, Jake stepped confidently toward the council. We won. Back down. Let us work together, preserve our community, and build a new future that works for everyone. After hours of debate, the council had no choice. They announced a delay on the proposed vote, granting the community time to rework their ideas for development, emphasizing cooperation, and ensuring the diner remained a heart of the town. As joyful cheers erupted around him, Jake felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Together, they had fought against the odds and emerged victorious. With tears sparkling in his eyes, he saw his friends' radiant smiles, the laughter and warmth of the diner alive again within their hearts. That day became a tapestry bound in memories, every stitch a testament to resilience, connection, and love for one another. As the sun dipped below the horizon, they celebrated together in their diner, uplifted by the power of unity. Through it all, Jake learned they were never just fighting for a diner, they were fighting for their home, and together they could withstand anything. Now they had a new story, a future filled with possibility, and a soul strength only a community could ignite. Before the night ended, he quietly took a moment to appreciate the community's unwavering camaraderie. They stood together, proud and whole, in a world that may have tried to tear them apart but could never extinguish their spirit. And that spirit? That was the heartbeat of their town, a beautiful reminder that home is a place built on love, resilience, and the togetherness of its people. Now, it's your turn. Don't wait. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next incredible stories that can transform your life just like Jake's. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep amazing stories like this coming. Comment below with your feelings on this emotional journey. Let us know how it inspired you. And don't let your friends miss out on this transformation. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this message of hope and perseverance. You need to show your support. This is the moment. Don't wait not even one more second.